WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp with you. Ronnie Rance in about 15 minutes. He called the games this weekend for LSU baseball, and they got another one tonight in the wraparound series against Butler. Tigers took the first three, but we start with the big news this morning that the New Orleans Saints have found their quarterback, Derek Carr. ESPN reporting this, and now everybody, of course, has picked up on it that they're signing former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. We don't have the money yet, but the word out there is that this is going to be a 4-year deal, and my guess is that if it is a 4-year deal, that we're looking at probably somewhere around $35 million per year, which is what quarterbacks costs. You know, it's like going to buy a house. It's like, oh, I can't believe it costs that. This is what houses cost. Sorry, this is what quarterbacks cost. And probably somewhere around 60%, maybe as much as 2/3 or 70% of the contract probably will be guaranteed. How can the Saints afford this, you ask? Well, salary cap gymnastics are commonplace to the Saints. You're looking at a very, very large signing bonus that they can spread out over the course of the contract, probably some voidable years at the end of this thing to make the deal more palatable, and a very low base salary for the 2023 seasons. All right, so this has been going on for weeks now, so this is not a new topic. I've sort of talked about some of these things before, but it's reality now. So let's talk about what I like. And by the way, we did a whole podcast on this already. That's posted at 1045ESPN.com. I'm not covering all of the ground on the show that I do on the podcast, but I'm going to give you some of the highlights and some of the things that I think about this. Number one, what do we like about Derek Carr? Well, anybody that rates quarterbacks is probably going to have Derek Carr somewhere between, say, 10th and 15th, 16th in the league. So somewhere or in that, well, we like to tier them 1 to 8, 9 to 16, and put it in quadrants for a 32-team league. Derek Carr is in just about anybody that evaluates quarterbacks in the second quadrant, meaning that there's somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 15 guys on the planet that are better at this than he is. Okay. So the scarcity of the position is not lost on me and shouldn't be lost on anybody that says the Saints should just go get somebody else. Because anybody that says, well, why are they going to sign Derek Carr? Derek Carr's not going to take him to the Super Bowl. Oy, if that was the only criteria for signing players, is this guy going to win us a Super Bowl, then 99% of the players in Saints history would have never been signed. This guy, based on what you can get, this guy is one of the best quarterbacks on the planet. One of the you can't name 15 guys that are better than him right now. Somebody might be. Hendon Hooker, might be a 10-time All-Pro. I don't know. Might be out of the league in 2 years. I'm going to give you a list of guys in a minute. It's tough to find a quarterback. So when you find somebody that has performed at a high level, and he's thrown for 4,000 yards in 4 of the last 5 years and would have done it last year if they wouldn't have parted ways before the last 2 games, has stayed healthy, has stayed durable, has had no off-the-field drama. As far as I know, he didn't lock himself in a dark room for 4 days and decide whether he wanted to still play football. You have none of that. You have a guy who – think about some of the question marks you have when you draft a quarterback, okay? Number one, does the guy want to be here? We've dealt with a little bit of that. I don't want to go there. Okay, well – obviously, Derek Carr wants to go here because he had other options, and obviously the Saints want him. So they're not stuck with each other, all right? He's performed at a high level. He's got a better than 2-to-1 touchdown-to-interception ratio. Would I like him to throw fewer interceptions? Yes. Is he big enough? Does he have enough arm to make all the throws? We just went through the combine. They're watching these guys throw. How much does he weigh? How tall is he? How big are his hands? Okay, we don't have any of those questions with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is capable of doing everything you need to be a high-level starting quarterback in the NFL. And yes, I'm aware he hasn't been to the Super Bowl, okay? Is he going to react really badly to getting a bunch of money? Man, you go give this guy a bunch of money and he's checked out. No, he's already made a bunch of money. So he's not going to go crazy on you. All of these things are good. He's 32 years old, going to be 32 years old later this month, which suggests with the way quarterbacks are handled in the NFL now that there is plenty of life left in Derek Carr. This is not a sign him on a prove-it deal the way they did with Jameis Winston. This wasn't a sign him for 1 year and you're an insurance policy like Andy Dalton. This is, hey, this is our guy, and this is going to be our guy for the foreseeable future. That may make you nervous, but it's one of the things in the plus column when you don't have to worry about a quarterback every year. A third of the league is worried about who their starting quarterback is going to be because they don't know if the guy they've got is good enough. Saints don't have that problem as of, a few hours ago. Now, here's what I don't like. This is the absolute number one thing I don't like about Derek Carr. I still can't figure out why the Raiders cut him. I can't. With the number, Davis Mills played 15 games last year. Okay, that was the Houston Texans' answer at quarterback. A way over the hill Matt Ryan played 12 games for the Indianapolis Colts last year. They had to bench him twice. He was so old and broken down. I loved Matt Ryan. I didn't love Matt Ryan because he played for the Falcons, but I respected his game. The guy's got, borderline Hall of Fame credentials, but he can't play anymore. Jacoby Brissett played 16 games last year. Marcus Mariota played 13 games last year. Baker Mayfield played 12 games last year. Carson Wentz played 8 games last year. Mitchell Trubisky played 7 games last year. All of these are full seasons or at least half of a season. These were the quarterbacks that these teams picked, and none of them are anywhere close to Derek Carr in terms of ability. None. Not even on the same planet as Derek Carr is. Your choices at quarterback, I've done this list enough times, man. The quarterbacks out there, the NFL free agent quarterbacks that are out there, I'm not talking about Lamar Jackson. I'm not talking about Daniel Jones. Those guys are restricted free agents. They're going to end up back where they were. And I'm certainly not talking about Aaron Rodgers. I'm talking about the guys you can realistically go get. They're not even close, man. They're not even on the same stratosphere as Derek Carr. What else I don't like about Derek? So I can't figure out why the Raiders cut him with no discernible plan for how to move forward. They just want to start over, and I'm going to tell you why that's a risky proposition here in a minute. So of your available options, I can't figure out why you would cut a bona fide starting quarterback in the middle of his prime who does not have some external situation, injury-wise, legally, or whatever. The Vikings hemmed and hawed about Kirk Cousins, but they signed him. The Cowboys hemmed and hawed about Dak Prescott, but they signed him. Why? Because those guys are guys that are capable quarterbacks of getting your team to the playoffs, and neither one of them has been within shouting distance of the Super Bowl, but their team signed him. Washington decided not to sign Kirk Cousins, and 5 years later, they're still looking for a quarterback. So this whole blow it up and start over thing, listen, you do that when you don't have any other choices. You don't do that voluntarily, because let me tell you what happens if you do. You go into NFL, the NFL draft, and you talk about quarterbacks. I'm going to give you, in the last 5 drafts, I'm going to give you 10 quarterbacks that I consider to have a future in the league. I'm not even going to, I don't think I've got time to go through the list that have no shot to make it long-term in the NFL at a high level. So these are the 10 quarterbacks I picked out in the last 5 drafts. You two guys are going to be my sounding board here. So I want a thumbs up, thumbs down if you were willing to make a long-term commitment to any of these guys, all right? If you had to put the Derek Carr contract on the table today, for argument's sake, let's say this is 4 years, $140 million. Would you give that to Kenny Pickett?
No, hasn't shown enough.
I would not either.
Would you give it to Trevor Lawrence?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Would you give it to Justin Fields?
Yes, I like Fields.
I would not.
Okay. Split decision on Fields. Would you give it to Joe Burrow?
Yes.
Yes.
Justin Herbert?
Yes.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts?
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Kyler Murray?
No.
No.
Daniel Jones,
No.
Nope.
Josh Allen,
Yes.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson.
No.
No.
Okay. We're at about 50-50. A split decision on Hurts. I'm thumbs up on Hurts. I would give him that deal. Philadelphia will give him a deal longer than that. I'm just using this contract. Lamar Jackson is worth that much money. His hang up is on whether or not these are going to be guaranteed dollars or not. Now, I left out a whole bunch of guys, all right, who went in the top round of the NFL draft, because that's what you're saying. Bring back Andy Dalton. Tank. Go get a top 10 pick next year. Okay. You might get Trevor Lawrence, but you might get Zach Wilson. Anybody giving Zach Wilson that money? 2 years, he's almost out of New York. What about what about Trey Lance?
No.
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 Now, maybe not all his fault, but the 49ers had to give up an enormous amount of draft capital just to get in position for him to get hurt. Mac Jones?
No.
No, not that much money.
Put a bunch of money there. Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins have not extended that
Yeah, I don't even know how long
option.
he's going to be playing. No.
If I was guaranteed Tua was going to be on the field, then yeah. But how many games did he start and finish last year? A little bit better than half of them. They don't know. Jordan Love.
No.
Packers have had him sitting in mothballs for 3 years now. Still don't know. Aaron Rodgers emerged from the darkness, but we don't know if he saw a shadow or not. So it's 6 more months of purgatory for Jordan Love, right? What about Baker Mayfield? I think we've touched on that enough. He was the first pick in the draft. What about Sam Darnold? 3rd pick in the draft. What about Josh Rosen? 10th pick in the draft. I know, he's free, right? You might hit on a Lamar Jackson with the last pick in the first round, but the odds are against you, okay? The 10 guys I just gave you, all of them were first-round picks except for Hurts, and they represent about half of the quarterbacks that have gone in the first round in the last 5 years. You guys just told me that you'd only take half of these cats on a long-term deal. So your chances, if you get in position, and I don't know that the Saints, even with Andy Dalton as a quarterback next year, are in position to get a top 5 pick. The roster's not that bad. Even if you get that pick, your chances of drafting the next Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, or you might get lucky with Jalen Hurts in the second round, but that's a rarity, man. That's the exception. It's not the rule. Derek Carr gives you a lot of known quantities, okay? Is it everything I want? No. I mean, am I throwing a party, to where, hey, listen, if the Bengals all of a sudden took leave of their senses and said, we'll trade you Joe Burrow for 10 first-round picks, I'd say here. And then we throw a party. It's not that. It's, I don't have a better solution to this. I don't have an available option to me that's better than this. I've gone through all of the lists 10 times. Everything else provides way more unknowns than Derek Carr does. And I tell you all that as a guy that, heard the news and went, okay, that's fine. I'm not over the moon, but I'm certainly not as despondent as some of the people that I've heard this morning that act like signing Derek Carr is going to be an anchor weight on the franchise. This guy will be a good quarterback. Will he be a great quarterback? Who can say? But this whole, you're not going to the Super Bowl with Derek Carr. First of all, I don't know that. The Raiders didn't, but the Raiders are dysfunctional, okay? I watched the Philadelphia Eagles not all that long ago win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles playing quarterback. Derek Carr's better than him. I watched the Baltimore Ravens win one with Joe Flacco. Carr's at least as good as he was when Flacco was in his prime. I watched the Buccaneers win one with Brad Johnson. I watched the Giants win one with Jeff Hostetler. Yes, all of those teams had excellent defenses. And yes, the Saints have a pretty good defense that needs to get better. But man, look, this is not the end of the franchise as we know it. This moved them forward today. Whether you think they overpaid or you think he's not good enough, the Saints are a better football team right now than they were 6 hours ago. They just are. One piece of national, I wanted to give you a bunch of national reaction, but as usual, I talked too long myself, so I just want to give you one. This was Colin Cowherd, just eyes outside of the situation. Colin Cowherd on the Derek Carr signing.
The Saints? Defensive head coach Saints? But sometimes you go somewhere, You remarry somebody who provides what somebody else couldn't. What do you get with the Saints? Elite defense, ask Tom Brady. Stability and ownership. Tremendous, stable front office. A lot easier to, beat Sam Darnold twice a year than Mahomes and Herbert. And now Russell Wilson with Sean Payton. The Saints provide a lot of things the Raiders couldn't.
This also allows them to go into the draft able to attack some of the other real needs of the organization, of which running back and defensive line are right at the top of the list. And if they could add another receiver or an impact tight end, that would be great too. It allows them to put quarterback on the list of tasks completed. Take a break. We'll switch to LSU baseball. I'm not wearing my Barrett's Barleycorn shirt today because I'm like, oh, yes, this weekend said everything I need to know. I'm wearing it because it's freezing cold in here today. Who's the new program director? Can we get him to adjust the thermostat? We should talk to that guy. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs. You know, we talk about ball crawfish. Big Mike's has got them every single day starting at 11 o'clock. So you get over and get your ball crawfish. And if ball shrimp or more of what you're after, all you can eat ball shrimp every Monday night. You know, Big Mike's is available for all your private parties. They've got multiple rooms that they can use for this. So no matter the size of your get together, you can do it there. Also, off-site catering is available from Big Mike's if you'd rather go in that direction. Live music every weekend. Jitterbug lessons going on right now on Thursday nights, and happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 until 7, and that's all day on Sunday as well. Big Mike's on Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs, with the Denham Springs Hall of Fame attached. At Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes...
So join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, recapping the weekend at the box. LSU basketball's regular season is done, and SEC football scheduling drama. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Annegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, before we bring in Ronnie Rance on LSU baseball, we got the terms of Derek Carr's contract. Mario, what do we predicted 4 years, 140, and about 60% to 2/3 guaranteed. How'd we do?
Ian Rappaport says that the Saints and Derek Carr agreed to a 4-year deal worth $150 million with $100 million fully guaranteed.
All right, so we're pretty close. This is a little over the $35 million a year that we thought was closer to 38, and we said somewhere between 60% and 2/3 guaranteed. It's 2/3 guaranteed. So we're starting quarterbacks cost, guys. I wish I was one. Let's bring in Ronnie Rance, who's called all the games in this LSU series so far this weekend with Butler and Central Connecticut State. Jumbo, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Shouldn't you have been a quarterback?
Man, I wish I'd have been a lot of different things in my life, but I mean, is that unbelievable? You get to lose your job as the franchise quarterback, and you get even more money. You get to go to the Saints and get $100 million guaranteed. Unbelievable.
It's the second best job in sports, Jumbo. The best job is Auburn head football coach because eventually they'll pay you to do nothing. Right. Okay? Let's talk. I mean, Carr's at least got to work for his money.
Yep.
Let's talk about the first 3 games of this series. LSU against some outmatched competition here. So the scores have been big. The outings have been dominant. 2 of the games were run rules by a lot. So what's popped out to you in what's obviously been a lopsided weekend?
Yeah, it is hard to gauge, what you learned from LSU this weekend because obviously, it'd be like a Catholic high football playing, some little 1A school somewhere. There's no chance that 1A school has of beating them, and that's how it was. By the way, speaking of no chance, today on the FanDuel app, that was the only app I could find at the moment. If somebody else knows, let me know. It's LSU is minus 2,200 to beat Butler today. You got to lay $2,200 to win $100.
Yeah, we're not as familiar with the college baseball odds because they just started coming. I would say it's been about 5 years or so that we started getting lines on tournament games, and we really just started getting lines on regular season games last year. So this is new, but this is really similar to what you see these number 1 seeds against number 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament numbers,
right.
Numbers like this. Jumbo, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but what did we learn? Well, I think Ty Floyd made a move into the rotation. They've got Stanford next week, and then the Stanford of the South, and then they've got Texas A&M over in College Station. I think based on what Floyd did last year in the last month and a half of the season, he's a junior. He pumped strikes. He hit 97 on the gun in his outing. The breaking ball is so much better. And I think there's a lot of confidence there, and he gives you that consistency. So I think Floyd moves into the rotation based on that performance. And today's a giant day for Hurd, the transfer from UCLA. If he goes out there, because he had a pretty good performance against Texas on the road in front of over 7,000, and he's supposed to be a guy. And if he goes out there today and gives you 5 innings and only walks 1 or 2, strikes out 7, is efficient, looks like he's around the zone with his pitches, because that's what you're looking for. Is just can he? I think he probably gets the start next Sunday with the eye that if he has a couple of good ones in a row, he'll be in that rotation, and then you'll go, Floyd and Hurd and the big guy on Friday.
Yeah. Let me back up on Floyd a little bit because he had an SEC fastball when he got here. That's never really been in question. It was always the ability to throw the breaking pitch. So you've watched him for 3 years now. Tell me about the evolution of the Floyd breaking ball.
It's it's really gotten pretty good. It's very snappy, and he throws. You hear so much about the high spin rate. Okay, Floyd is the ideal high spin rate guy, and what that means is he lives up in the zone. He's rarely a guy that's going to throw at the knees. He's going to throw at the belt more, which traditionally you'd be a little more nervous about. But because he's got that high spin rate, what that means is when you see that velocity radar gun and it says 94. Generally, that radar gun is right out of the hand. I mean, that radar score is 94 right out of the hand, which means for some traditional pitchers, it might be 92 when it crosses the plate. But with a guy that has a high spin rate, that 94 will carry to where it's 94 out of the hand, but it also will be 94 potentially when it crosses the plate. So it's actually faster than what this radar gun says. It stays on the plane longer, stays up in the zone. You see more fly balls, more foul balls, and swings and misses as well. And so that's always been there. It's gotten even a little bit better. The strikes are more consistent, but the breaking ball has just been it's not a slow one. It's more of a hard slider type slurvy breaking ball, but it's a real pitch to where you have to honor it.
Out of that scenario that you outlined a second ago, which I agree with all of that, by the way, as far as Thatcher Hurd and Ty Floyd, one of the things I like about it the best is that this returns Riley Cooper to the bullpen. And when you add him to Nate Ackenhausen, LSU's got two experienced rubber arm for sure with Cooper. Ackenhausen still looks like a bounce-back guy to me, too. Jumbo, it's been a while since LSU's had this many left-handed options out of the bullpen and guys and multiple outing in a single weekend options out of the bullpen.
No question. I mean, Ackenhausen definitely has, I think, the higher ceiling than Cooper. Joe Sherman at Delgado has been telling me about Ackenhausen for 2 years because he played against him in junior college 2 times, once each of the last 2 years. And he's like, boy, this guy's, you're really going to like him. He's really good. And he's got kind of a more traditional curveball, but he commands it. He's got the get it over curve. He's got the 0-2 curve where he can throw it down and away. He throws a lot of strikes with it. He's super comfortable and confident. His performance at Texas, I thought he was obviously Dugas hit the homer and he was the MVP of the game. But Ackenhausen, in a tight game on the road, and he just was the glue guy. He just went out there, did his job for 3+ in the crucial back half part of that game and was sensational.
The drawback, obviously, is you're going with 3 righties in the rotation. It's not optimum, but it doesn't bother me all that much. You?
No, I think that's overplayed in college. Give me. I'd rather have a guy that throws strikes with 2 or 3 pitches, and I know I'm going to get a good effort, 5-6 innings, 4 out of every 5 times he goes out there. I think the consistency and the knowing what you're going to get is more important. You just don't have that luxury. It's not like, it's the Major League Draft where you can just go trade and find guys. I mean, you kind of have to kind of get what you get. I don't think that's a problem whatsoever.
Jumbo, here's something else that, and again, we're trying to take this against level of competition, but you still gotta feel the ball and throw it to first. You still got to catch the ball, and through 11 games now, LSU's done that at a much higher level, frankly, than I expected, and a much higher level than they did it a year ago. Clean defensively on the box score. You watched every. I didn't. Full disclosure here. It's somewhere around 19-0. I lost some interest. So you saw every pitch this weekend. Is this a team defensively that's as good as the fielding percentage would indicate?
It is legitimate. I don't know that they're special. It's not a special defense. They're not going to be this amazing infield. They're not going to be. But they're solid. They're, which is plenty good enough. They're 991 fielding percentage at the moment. Last year they were 962, I believe, which was the worst in the league. Their shortstop Thompson fielded at below 900 for I think all but maybe the very end of the year, and he hasn't made an error this year. So I mean, here we played 11 games or something, 12 games, whatever it is. A little punch drunk from the weekend.
11. 11.
He hasn't made an error yet. I mean, that's unbelievable. And so, no, I think that was a point of, focus, obviously, all off season. They knew that was bad, and it was a little bit of an aberration, I think, too. I'm a Thompson fan, always have been. Last year when people were saying, you got to make a change. He's got to transfer. We got to bring in a shortstop. I was like, I don't know, man, not so fast. I believe in this guy because I thought, in my mind, I think he's got a chance to be better than Kramer Robertson. People forget Kramer Robertson went through some struggles the first couple of years, 3 years, and then finally it clicked for him towards the end of his career. This guy's been thrown in there, and as a freshman, boom, you're in. And so he went through some bobbles, but with a team full of stars, he's hanging right in there and doing some good things offensively as well. I think he's going to be a good one and definitely will be the bounce back player of the year for the Tigers.
I like the comparison. I hope it works out that way. We're roughly 20% of the way through the season now, so if you're fielding it at a competent level, somewhere around 982 usually leads the league. I think if this team fielded somewhere around 977, that'd be fine. With the amount of bats they've got, 977, 978 would be a drastic improvement. Jumbo, biggest surprise to me this weekend. I didn't expect to see Cade Beloso come out of the dugout and run two balls out of the yard. Yeah, and run two balls out of the yard. Is this just a case of he's seeing down the line pitching, or is he a viable candidate for some more playing time here?
It doesn't matter. He's 5 for 7 with 7 RBIs, 2 homers, and a double. I mean, you got to at least give him a courtesy start. Let him go 0 for 4. To see. Especially with the problems that the freshman Jones is having at the moment. He went 0 for 3 with 3 punch-outs yesterday, and he's struck out more than 50% of the time that he's had an at-bat this year, which, and so I think with freshmen you have to be very careful. It's very rare that you get a Todd Walker or somebody special like that. They're just in there from day one, unless you have a situation where you have a need, right? Like, we don't have a shortstop, so Thompson, go play shortstop. But in this case, you've got options. And so to me, I think they've left Jones in there a little too long. Like, he's swinging and missing a ton, not seeing the breaking ball very well. He's talking to himself. You can see it. I'd have liked to have seen them manage him a little better over this last week because now, we're going back to square one. He's hitting 260. He's struck out a ton. He's probably questioning himself. But Beloso, to me, I don't know if he'll start today or not, but I'd put him at first base. I'd let, Tommy Tanks DH. He's about a week and a half away before he can play third again. And then let Morgan play left and put Beloso at first base and see. I mean, the guy deserves it based off of his body of work. He's a 5th-year senior, and he's been swinging Excalibur through the first 7 at-bats.
Jumbo, I know you didn't have maybe competitive games over the weekend, but look at it this way. A&M and Texas Tech went 16 innings last night, so you didn't have to deal with that.
Oh, thank you. And look, the 10-run rule is a beautiful thing. The visiting team, by the way, is the one that decides that. On Friday when LSU played Butler, they wanted to do a 10-run rule. Jay Johnson, talked the coach into doing a 10-run rule. I mean, not doing a 10-run rule. They made that change 30 minutes before game time. LSU was leading 10-0 after 7 on Friday. They wound up winning 12-2. But on Saturday, Central Connecticut's coach said, no, we don't want to do it. We're definitely doing a 10-run rule. Jay Johnson tried to talk him out of it. He said, no, go. And I want to thank that gentleman.
5 hours and 34 minutes at Minute Maid last night. So, hey, listen, sometimes a 10-run rule comes in.
Listen, if they would have had the 10-run rule and the speed-up clock and all that when Jim Hathorn was working, he might still be doing games for LSU.
He was a fan the one year they put the clock in until he realized they were all ignoring it. So it worked out pretty good. Jumbo, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the time.
All right, Charlie. Take care.
And we'll take a break. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Had a wonderful experience last weekend going to buy another vehicle from Acura and Infinity. And listen, right now, you would get on the certified pre-owned lot. First of all, a very, very large inventory right now. But also, they want to buy your vehicles from customers. It's easy to get an offer from Infinity of Baton Rouge. They're going to give you a quote in less than 15 minutes. And there's no pressure to buy if you want to just know what your vehicle is worth, if you want to trade in for another one, if you want to sell it to them outright, they will honor all of those decisions for you. Going to be a vehicle that's going through a rigorous inspection, so much so they're going to back it up. If it passes that inspection, it's going to get a 6-year unlimited mile warranty, a full year of prepaid maintenance. The certified pre-owned vehicles so attractive and they meet with the age and mileage requirements. Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Transparency and pricing, a family atmosphere. It's a very relaxed vibe when you go there. That's why we continue to go back time and time again to Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Musso, join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Matt is back in the host chair. He's recapping the weekend at the Box. LSU and Pels hoops as well. Monday's AFR, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you missed the beginning of the show or the podcast that we posted about an hour or so ago on the Derek Carr signing by New Orleans, again, terms of the deal, 4 years, $150 million, and $100 million of that guaranteed. Get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. The website also has a link to the podcast. So if you're joining us a little bit late and missed the Derek Carr news, our reaction is all on both of those two segments. I want to move on, though. Heather Dinich just published a column on ESPN.com that includes Brian Kelly's reaction to the 9-team SEC schedule that is expected to pass whenever the SEC goes to their spring meetings in Destin. This news is starting to leak out. You can almost see that this was a a very targeted leaking of the information to the coaches and the athletic directors before it all becomes public. This is what PR people refer to as softening up the ground, that you don't just hit people right in the face with the new schedule and say, that's it, no discussion, no nothing. You leak this kind of information to see what the general reaction is. You see which way the wind's blowing. And obviously last week the wind wasn't blowing in the direction that Nick Saban wanted it to. So this is Kelly's first public comment since, again, some of this stuff was leaked out. Brian Kelly quoted as saying, I've been at this for 3 decades, and no disrespect to any other schools that we play outside the SEC, but they just don't excite me. I want to play the best. I came here to the SEC because I wanted to play against Alabama. I want to play against A&M. I want to play against Auburn and the great teams. In our new scheduling, we get to play Alabama every year, Ole Miss every year, and A&M every year. That's really why I came down here. I want to play those games, and I think playing 9 SEC games is great for your schedule, prepares you for the opportunity to play for a national championship. So this is yet another affirmation that LSU's 3 permanent opponents have been set: Alabama, Ole Miss, and A&M. We kind of concentrated on the Alabama angle on Friday. I think this is extremely fair for LSU. We talk about multiple teams out of the top end of the conference and 1 team out of the bottom, 2 out of the top, 1 out of the bottom for teams that are in the top. LSU's in the top, so you're going to get 2 of those top 8 teams. Alabama and A&M are 2 of those top 8 teams. Don't look at just records. Alabama's record obviously qualifies, but A&M from a resource standpoint, I know we've been waiting a long time, but hey, listen, they spent a whole bunch of money over there, and there's no reason to believe that they won't be good. And in Ole Miss, one of LSU's longest rivalries, not as long as Mississippi State. If this had been Mississippi State instead of Ole Miss, I would be fine with that too. Take your pick out of one of those 2 games. If it had been Alabama, Auburn, and A&M, I would have been steamed. And I'm trying not to be too hypocritical when I say probably the one thing that I will miss the most with this new schedule is LSU playing Auburn every year. LSU and Auburn has been one of the most entertaining college football series, any conference, anywhere, for the last 30 years. I mean, we got more games that have names on them in the LSU-Auburn series than we have that don't. That's always been an entertaining game. I'll miss having that every single year, but the rest of this is fine. And from LSU's standpoint, maybe not from Alabama's standpoint, maybe not from other teams' standpoint, but this is what Kelly wants. He says, and he was asked about Saban's comments. He says, I think everybody has their own take on the schedules. Nick has never backed down from a challenge, and I'm not too worried about whether he'll have his team ready to play when he plays LSU. He'll be ready. So the league is getting most of what they want here. They're getting what Greg Sankey wanted to do 2 things with this. And I've turned around on Sankey. I was not a fan of him when he first took office. I thought there were some missteps there. But ever since COVID, Sankey has been a very strong leader, in my opinion, in the conference. He wanted to do 2 things. He wanted to restore rivalries, which is fine as long as you get the second part of that too, which is that there should be a greater frequency of rotation in the league. And I've been an advocate of that since 1992. It looks like he's going to get both of those things. You won't get everything you want. It's kind of like Derek Carr, right? You're not getting everything you want. Nobody gets everything they want, but you're getting most of what you need here. Kelly is on board with this, and boy, I really agree with him for the most part when he says, when we play outside the SEC, those games just don't excite me. And if he's talking about playing Northwestern State or Utah State or Akron or Western Carolina, I am 100% with him. Now, I'm not completely against it. I think of the 3 non-conference games, I certainly hope that one of them stays as one of those prominent power, Power 5, as we're still calling it that, I guess, one of those teams. I don't want to see the LSU-USC game in 2024 go away. I don't want to see the game against UCLA go away. I don't want to see the games with Clemson go away. Now, LSU's gotten the short end of the stick with some of this home and away stuff because of some bizarre circumstances over the last 20 years. They lost the Arizona State game when Katrina hit. They lost the Texas game when the pandemic hit. They're not going to get that return game from Texas. They just kind of lost that one. They were delayed for 3 years because the Weasel decided that he didn't want to play LSU in 2004. But I don't want to see those games go away. I think the LSU game against Florida State is a good one. I wish that it was on campus, but que sera. I want to see LSU play some of these teams. I think they're good. I can make an even stronger argument that those games are necessary now that you have a 12-team playoff. Maybe I've just been around long enough to where I've seen the entire evolution of this thing go from, man, you played a really good schedule till you went to trying to schedule the absolute bottom of the barrel for your non-conference games. When I got to school at LSU in the 80s, LSU was playing Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Miami of Florida in their non-conference schedule. The only, and I'm using kind of echo, rental win that they had that year was Tulane. And Tulane was a 100-year rivalry. They weren't very good at that time, but I at least understood playing that game. Man, we didn't have to sit through LSU against Western Carolina. We didn't have to, you didn't have to pay for tickets to go and watch a game that was no more than a glorified scrimmage. Those games going away, man, that's the best thing. From a fan standpoint, from an enjoyment standpoint, doesn't make it easier to win, but, all I wanted was some kind of reasonable rotation. I don't have to have everything that I want on this deal from an LSU standpoint. I just need it to be fair. And the fact that Alabama went 30 years avoiding Florida and Georgia as often as they could was in no way fair, was in no way what was best for the conference as a whole. It was just what was best for Alabama. And that's what continued to just drive me crazy every time we talked about scheduling. So Brian Kelly in favor of 9 games, happy with LSU's 3 permanent opponents. So good. All right, basketball news out of the weekend. LSU blew a large lead to Tennessee in the second half and fell out in the semifinals of the SEC tournament. Wasn't all that big of a deal, I didn't think, until they started suggesting LSU might be a 3 seed. Apparently 28-2 is not good enough if you played a non-conference schedule the way LSU did. I still think that they are a 2 seed. We'll see what happens when the brackets come out next week. But losing to Tennessee for their second loss, I don't think should exclude them from being a 2 seed. It does exclude them from being a 1 seed. Kim Mulkey on not real happy about how they executed at the end of the game.
I don't think anybody wanted any part of Rakia Jackson tonight. We'd hit a screen and holler switch. She's a great player. I just thought Horston is a great player. She got some paint points and then she'd get rebounds, but we knew that about those 2 kids. It was just toughness, and then we still had a shot to win it. Came out of the timeout, drew up the play for Alexis Morris, didn't set screens, just stood there. That's called no execution.
I don't think Mulkey's devastated by this. She doesn't like to lose, but she, by her own admission, didn't put a whole lot of stock into what was going to happen at the SEC tournament. She didn't even think if they had won it that they were going to be a 1 seed. Whether she's right on that or not, we're not going to find out. Doesn't really matter all that much. Bigger story, though, potentially bigger story, and she squelched it pretty quick. The 15 finalists for the Naismith Player of the Year award came out this weekend, and Angel Reese was not one of them. From an on-the-court standpoint, this is completely unbelievable. Angel Reese is a top 5 scorer and rebounder in the country. The fact that she wasn't the SEC Player of the Year, I attributed mostly to the fact that there was a lot of built-in support for Aaliyah Boston going into the season, and Reese, having played with Maryland a year ago, didn't have that kind of built-in support going in. I think she should have been the SEC Player of the Year. When you're the Player of the Week half the time in the league, that would suggest to me that you were the best player in the league. But I digress. It was suggested to Mulkey that perhaps Reese wasn't on that list because of academic shortcomings. She shut that down pretty quick. So if that's not the case, then you just got stupid voters. I would like to use a more polite word, but if you didn't vote for Angel Reese to be in the top 15 players in the country, you don't want to say she's the player of the year. I understand it. There's some other candidates out there. If you don't think she's one of the 15 best players in the country, then you're just stupid. So was there something else? Kim Mulkey's answer was an emphatic no. And Reese played in the games this weekend. She has played in every game all season. There's nothing to suggest that she is not academically eligible, and Mulkey put an exclamation point on that. We'll take a break, come back here, and wrap things up. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units,
Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's, getting you ready for championship week. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday from Finbom on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hanniger on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt Palmer will be with you here in a moment. He is less enthusiastic about the Derek Carr signing, I believe. I believe Matt is less enthusiastic. I know this because the three of us were in a meeting when the news broke. And listen, this is not, again, I'm not saying pop the champagne corks or anything like that, but I think I've made the case that this is what is available to New Orleans and the best option that they have right now. And burning it down and starting over is a risky tact. You can do it, but it's painful and it's no guarantee to work. If it was guaranteed that the Saints could tank next year and get a guy like Joe Burrow, if Caleb Williams is your favorite quarterback and you think he's going to be the next great one, you can do that. But there's a lot of unknowns there. Thanks to everybody for participating for Ronnie Rants. For Mario Jerez, for Taylor Sharp, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.